Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We're here to talk about the Transit Route Review. My name is Tracy Zurich. I am a Community Engagement Coordinator with the City of Guelph. And I'm joined here tonight with Andrea Mikola, Acting Supervisor of Planning and Scheduling with Guelph Transit. And we also have a few elves in the background helping us through tonight. And we're all excited to be back presenting on our overview of the proposed transit system with routes and timelines so that you can get an idea of what we have planned and we can hear back from you about your thoughts to help us determine a better way to serve Guelph and get the best transit system we can. Before we begin, we are reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty lands that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a city, we have responsibility for the stewardship on the land of the land on which we live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations of the Anishinaabeg people, on whose traditional territory many of us are joining from tonight. Though technically we aren't talking about the land tonight or changes to the land itself, but we are talking about how we move through this land and our hope to make less of an impact on the environment around us by growing transit use. That's why we're here, for the Guelph Transit Route Review. The findings that you'll be presented with tonight are based on a lot of research and discussions at the city level and lots of feedback from the community. It's also based on observations about the transit system and how it's been functioning in real life, both before and during COVID-19. Now, I want you to know these plans are not set in stone, and that's why we're here today. We want to share the proposed system with all of you and hear back either tonight, here, we can hear your comments or read your comments, we'll get to that in a second, or through our engagement platform, which is haveyoursay.guelph.ca/route review. And on there, you can fill out a survey, you can leave your comments, and we want to find out how these plans can be improved to make Guelph's transit system just right, just work. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items. I want you to know we are recording. We're also broadcasting this session, but don't worry, nobody else's face but mine and Andrea's will be shown. Our voices are the only ones that'll be heard. But we do want you to leave your questions and comments in the chat feature if you're on either WebEx or Facebook. On WebEx, the chat feature can be found in a little comic balloon at the bottom right corner of your screen on most devices. During the presentation, we will gather up your questions, and then I will ask them on your behalf after the presentation is over. It's about 20 minutes in. I do ask that you please leave your comments respectful. We are all here because we want Guelph to have the best transit system, maybe even a great transit system with your help. That requires us all to work together with that goal in mind. If you're watching from guelph.ca right now and you want to ask a question, please hop over to one of the other platforms. The links are listed on the screen right now, and you'll be able to ask your questions there. Or you can go over to haveyoursay.guelph.ca, leave your questions there. We just won't get to them tonight, but we will get to them. Now, that's it for me. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Andrea officially to the panel, and she'll be taking us through the proposed transit system. Take it away, Andrea.
Thanks, Tracy. I'm Andrea Mikola, the Acting Supervisor of Planning and Scheduling. I've been with Guelph Transit just over 2 years now, and this has been a project that's been ongoing for most of my tenure during that time. So I'll just be going over some of the major parts of the proposed plan, and we'll ask questions after that. So as part of the 2019 Guelph Transit Business Service Review, it was recommended that a full route review be completed, looking at general system changes and individual route changes. This review would also provide background for the future Guelph Transit Strategic Plan to 2040. The vision for the route review is to create a competitive, convenient, and reliable transit network that meets the needs of today's and tomorrow's customers. A number of guiding policy documents were reviewed. In addition, data for existing routes both before and during the pandemic have been analyzed. These sources include ridership and stop activity data, on-time performance, and a survey of a sample of riders and residents conducted in mid-2020. Two-thirds of respondents identified that they did not currently take transit, but identified what changes would encourage them to opt to take transit. Current riders also identified what changes would make their experience on transit better. Through these initial surveys, it was found the priorities for the route network should be more routes that take people where they need to go, quicker travel times, frequent service, and more service reliability. These priorities are in line with the goals from the guiding documents. It was also found that many routes struggle to stay on time, and a mixture of service types is most effective for Guelph. Crosstown routes, transit priority measures such as traffic signal priority, and managing overloaded buses were topics commonly brought up by respondents. Before developing the network, a set of service guidelines were created. They were updated and combined from numerous documents such as the official plan, service review, and transit growth strategy from 2010. The guidelines are important because they ensure a consistent approach is made to reviewing and adjusting the transit network as the city grows. The full service guidelines are available on haveyoursay.guelph.ca. So here are a few highlights / quick facts of the proposed transit concept network. Implementation is planned to occur over 10 years, dependent on COVID-19 and council direction. There's an increase from 3 route types to 5 route types. Service hours and kilometers are increased by about 30%. On-demand service continues to be used to supplement regular service. Expanded service is provided on Sundays on several routes. There are plans to service new growth areas such as the Guelph Innovation District, the new operations campus on Dunlop, and the Clare Maltby secondary plan area. All intensification corridors have frequent transit service from multiple routes, and all community nodes have increased service. This map shows the ultimate network that would exist in year 10 of the plan. Each year and route will be shown in more detail in the following slides. You can also access an interactive map on Have Your Say. A family of services has been introduced, which is a variety of route types to serve different service levels and purposes. These are the 90 series or core routes that run a minimum 20 minutes during peaks with extended Sunday hours. Routes 3 to 25 are base routes that run every 20 to 30 minutes during peaks and generally every 30 minutes off peak. The 50 series are University Express routes that run September to May and provide direct service to the University Center with demand-based frequencies. The 70 series community on-demand routes are implemented in new growth or low demand areas as either fixed routes with reduced hours or as on-demand routes. Year 10 of the plan only has one route in the 70 series, which is the community bus on demand that was recently introduced. Another 70 series route is recommended beyond the 10-year plan. These routes can also be converted to base routes if service targets are met. Last are the 100 series industrial express routes. None are shown in this concept, but they would be routes developed in partnership with employers and funded through corporate initiatives to provide additional service to employment and industrial areas. Please note that the summary of each year to follow assumes that routes mentioned operate during the standard service hours of 5:45 a.m. to 12:15 a.m. Monday to Saturday and 9:15 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. Sundays unless otherwise stated. Year 1 of the plan would involve the reintroduction of full service levels with some modifications and expansions. As of May 1st, 2021, the Community Bus North and South loops and the Route 16 Southgate have been converted to on-demand service. In Year 1, the community bus would remain as on-demand service. It's assumed that ridership would increase once the pandemic is over, and so it is recommended that the Route 16 Southgate is reintroduced in place of the on-demand service, as well as introducing the conventional fixed route west of the Hanlin called Route 19 Hanlin Creek. These routes would both run every 30 minutes Monday to Sunday. Route 99 Mainline would resume running every 10 minutes on weekdays, and an additional bus would be added to the route when University is in to help the route run on time. Route 40 Scottsdale Express would not be reinstated. Route 50U Stone, 51U Janefield, and 57U Ironwood would be combined into one route that runs every 15 minutes, Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., September to May. Lastly, the Route 56U Colonial and 58U Edinburgh would have service end earlier to run from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. In year 2, the Route 10 Imperial, Route 12 General Hospital, and Route 13 Victoria Road Rec Center would have midday service increased to every 20 minutes to match peak service. Route 3 Westmount would be extended to Woodlawn Smart Centers and removed from Edinburgh Road. Route 99 Mainline, Route 1 Edinburgh College, Route 3 Westmount, and Route 7 Courtright Downey would have modifications to better match demand levels. Route 99 Mainline would have Sunday service expanded to run from 7:15 a.m. to 10:15 p.m. Peak weekday service is increased from every 10 minutes to every 9 minutes when University is in, and late night service would be adjusted to every 20 minutes on weeknights. Route 1 Edinburgh College and Route 3 Westmount would have Saturday service adjusted to run on Sunday hours, and Route 7 Courtright Downey would run from 7:15 a.m. to 10:15 p.m. on Saturdays. Lastly, Route 16 Southgate would introduce 2 branches of the route. One would continue the same routing, while the other branch would not service Clarefields Drive and instead would service the portion of Southgate Drive south of Clare Road. These branches would run every other trip during morning and evening shift changes Monday to Sunday. Year 3, the first phase of the Route 98 Speedvale is introduced. Future years, it would run all the way to Elmira Road at Paisley Road. The first phase would have a short turn via Willow Road and Imperial Road. The 98 Speedvale would run every 20 minutes on weekdays from morning to evening peak, and every 30 minutes evenings and weekends. It would also have extended Sunday service hours of 7:15 a.m. to 10:15 p.m. With the introduction of the 98 Speedvale, this allows the modification of other routes that also travel on Speedvale Avenue and Aramosa Road. Route 12 General Hospital would be removed from most of Speedvale Avenue and provide bidirectional service in the Waverly neighborhood. Route 13 Victoria Road Rec Center would be removed from much of Aramosa Road to provide bidirectional service towards the rec center. Route 20 Northwest Industrial would be removed from Marksome Road as part of the ultimate routing design in later years. Lastly, since Route 12 General Hospital would now travel clockwise along Inverness Drive, Simmons Drive, and Victoria Road, Route 17 Woodlawn Watson would be removed from that area to instead travel straight across Woodlawn Road. Year 4, weekday daytime service would be increased from 30 minutes to 20 minutes on Route 8 Stone Road Mall and Route 20 Northwest Industrial. Year 5, the final routing of 98 Speedvale would be implemented to run to Elmira Road at Paisley Road. From there, the route would continue as the new Route 17 Fife. The existing Route 17 Woodlawn-Watson and Route 18 Watson-Woodlawn would be combined into one bidirectional route, Route 18 Watson-Woodlawn, that runs between Woodlawn Smart Centers and Stone Road Mall every 30 minutes. The new Route 17 Fife would cover the portion of the previous Route 17 and 18 that run between Stone Road Mall and Elmira Road at Paisley Road. This route would run every 20 minutes during every 20 minutes weekdays during the day and every 30 minutes evenings and weekends. Lastly, Route 20 Northwest Industrial would be split into 3 separate routes that each run every 30 minutes. Route 20 Wellington Imperial, Route 21 Willow, and Route 22 Curtis. These routes provide more bidirectional service and an overall increase in service levels in the employment areas. Year 6, the new operations campus would be built on Dunlop Drive. Route 4 York would be extended to service the campus and would now have daytime service increased from 30 minutes to 20 minutes, Monday to Saturday. A new Route 24 Stone would also be introduced to operate between the operations campus and Stone Road Mall using Stone Road. This route would run every 20 minutes during the day, Monday to Saturday, and every 30 minutes all other times. Year 7 would see several routes absorbing parts of other routes to create new bidirectional services. Route 9 Waterloo would no longer travel to Fife Road and would instead head north on Silver Creek Parkway through the new connection to the rest of Silver Creek Parkway, then would absorb Westwood Road service from Route 10. It would then travel on Willow Road to Silver Creek Parkway, to Woodlawn Road, and finally to the Woodlawn Smart Center. It would do the same in the reverse direction. This route would be renamed to Route 9 Waterloo Silver Creek. This route would run every 30 minutes. Route 10 Imperial would be renamed to Route 10 Paisley and would travel in both directions on the entirety of Paisley. It would tentatively use Willow Road and Tovell Drive to turn around in the West End. This route would run every 20 minutes during the day, Monday to Saturday, and every 30 minutes at all other times. Route 11 Willow West would be renamed to Route 11 Edinburgh. It would no longer service Silver Creek Parkway and instead would be extended to Woodlawn Smart Center, and it would run every 30 minutes. Year 8 would see the extension of Route 7 Courtright Downey. It is proposed that the route would now service Courtright Road East and McAllister Boulevard in the east. There are also 2 options in the west, either to maintain the current routing via Downey Road or to extend the route along Pheasant Run. The preferred option can be identified through the survey online. This route would run every 30 minutes. We would be introducing 2 paired routes in the east end, Route 13 Eastview Watson and Route 23 Watson Eastview. These 2 routes would provide service in both directions between downtown and the east end via Aramasa, Eastview, and Watson Parkway, York Road, and Elizabeth Street. Both routes would run every 30 minutes. With the introduction of Route 13 and 23, Route 18 Watson Woodlawn would be removed from that area to travel straight down Victoria and would be renamed Route 18 Victoria. It would also terminate at the University Center instead of Stone Road Mall. Lastly, Route 59U Gordon Express would be extended to downtown to supplement the main line. This route would run every 15 minutes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday to Friday, September to May. In Year 9, Route 1 Edinburgh College, Route 2 College Edinburgh, and Route 11 Edinburgh are combined into one route, 97 Edinburgh, that travels from Woodlawn Smart Centers in the north to the commercial area near Gordon and Clare in the south. This route would service the entirety of Edinburgh Road, except to deviate to Dawson Road. It would also service the new South End Rec Center. It would run every 20 minutes during the day and every 30 minutes at all other times. Route 18 Victoria would be extended to the Clare and Gordon commercial area and be renamed to Route 96 Victoria to run from Woodlawn Smart Centers in the north to Clare and Gordon commercial area in the south, using the entirety of Victoria Road. This route would run every 20 minutes during the day and every 30 minutes at all other times. With the introduction of the Route 96 Victoria, Route 5 Goodwin would be converted to service the South End residential area. This route would run every 30 minutes and would service the new high school at Arkell Victoria intersection. With the introduction of Route 97 along Clarefields Drive, Route 16 would be removed from Clarefields Drive and would no longer have branches. Instead, every trip would service the southern portion of Southgate Drive. Lastly, Route 15 University College would be renamed Route 15 Stone College, and a route that travels in the opposite direction would be introduced called Route 25 College Stone. It would run every 30 minutes. Year 10 is dependent on the construction of the new transit hub on Gordon in the Clare Maltby secondary plan area. When it's built, routes 5 Goodwin, 16 Southgate, 19 Hamlin Creek, 96 Victoria, 97 Edinburgh, and 99 Mainline would be extended to this hub. Route 19 would also have its schedule modified to run every 20 minutes during the day, Monday to Saturday, and every 40 minutes evenings and Sundays. So what's next? We're looking for your feedback. We want to know what in this plan works for you and what challenges you see. From your feedback, we'll spend the next few months refining the concept to ensure the best network to meet the needs of Guelph. We will then present this refined concept to Council for consideration in November this year. Oops, that is my cat. You don't need to see that.
It's a cute cat.
I meant to stop sharing. There we go. And now we're on to questions if there are any.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. Everybody watching, I know it's a lot of information. I mean, there are 10 years of changes. Routes are changing 1 year and not another year, and they change a couple times. There's a lot to digest. So we've got a big document on haveyoursay.guelph.ca. I think it's also on our main website when you search for route review. And it walks you through turn by turn, year by year, route by route, exactly what's going on. So if you take route 11, I don't know, I'm picking a number, and you want to know how that changes, or you want to know how you get from point A to point B, from home to work, year after year, what's going on, you can follow along in that document to figure out what the timing is, exactly where your buses go, what buses you need to take. So it's all there. This was just a quick 20-minute presentation to try to give you a little teaser, a little taste of what's going on. So take your time and go through that material. If you don't have your questions together tonight because it's a lot of information, that's okay. We're still accepting questions on haveyoursay.ca, I think we close on Monday, so there's a couple of more days to get your information in. Yeah, and we're there, we're listening, we're watching. We want to hear from you. If you take the bus, if you don't take the bus, transit affects everybody across the city. It's not just the bus users or potential bus users. You know, that's the dream, to get new people interested because we can improve the transit system. So let us know how it's working for you, how it could work for you, how it could work best for you, and we want to hear that. Looking for questions. So nothing's come in. Like I said, it's a lot of information, and that's okay. I planted a couple of questions to get us started. Maybe that'll inspire some people watching to pipe up with their questions. Okay, let's start. I'm a community engagement coordinator, so I want to know how we're reaching the people who don't always have the strongest voice, the equity deserving groups, the students, those people who are a little harder to reach. What have we done to hear from them?
Yeah, so we have had some challenges due to COVID, since we can't speak directly to our transit customers. But we have reached out to equity-seeking groups to help us spread the word and encourage participation as much as possible. And we have sent a communication to the university that should be going out to their students to encourage them to participate.
Good. Hopefully we hear from them because those are important voices. Okay, I'm going to stay on theme. Has consideration been made to increase service in low-income areas to get them to key destinations like grocery stores and employment areas with the least number of transfers?
In short, yes. Grocery stores and employment areas were identified early on in the planning process to ensure every neighborhood has a proper connection to those locations. That being said, if you feel we missed something, let us know.
Exactly. Getting people to work. We introduced the on-demand service this year. Was that? Yeah, that was this year. That was in 2021. Can you tell us about the thought process of introducing that just before transit route review and how it fits into the new plan?
Yeah, On Demand was mainly introduced to allow for expansion of our service area during the challenges of COVID-19. Route 19 Handling Creek was approved in 2019 for implementation in September 20, but was deferred when the pandemic started. Expansion of the coverage area for the community bus was also approved in 2019 and was also deferred. However, we still get many requests for service in those areas that were intended to be serviced by the expansions. So by introducing On Demand, we can provide service to these highly desired areas within our existing budget.
Right. Okay, because I know the on-demand has been a topic of discussion around the community. We do have a question that's appeared on WebEx. They're starting to get the hang of it. This one says, residents along Route 19 on Teal Drive would like a review. How can this be handled?
Uh, so Route 19 was approved in 2019. We went out with door hangers to every house along any of the proposed routes. And the route that's currently being presented was the one that was approved and received a majority positive response, including people in that area that said it would help them out. And we continue to receive some similar responses, but we are continually reviewing everything as we go.
Fair enough. Nothing set in stone. I said it at the top. Okay, back to my questions. Let's talk about service schedules for a little bit. On Sundays, some of the routes have shorter windows for service, and maybe people still need to get to and from work before 9 o'clock or whatever. What was the thinking behind those service hours on Sundays?
So our standard service hours for Sunday currently are 9:15 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. and those hours are mostly maintained for most routes. It's expensive to implement extended Sunday service, so we've tried to provide some level of service beyond these hours using the core routes, but we may consider recommending additional Sunday service based on public feedback.
So tell us if you need to get somewhere early morning, late night, Sundays. We want to hear from you. And if there's enough people in your area going to the same areas, we can work with that, right? We can think about it. We can make plans. Okay. Oh, aligning buses with GO trains and GO buses. I know that's something that you and I have talked about, but it would be great if we could align our transit system with GO. What's involved there? What are the challenges?
So Guelph Transit has looked at aligning with the GO train service in the past, and we faced a few challenges. GO trains don't run on a consistent schedule, whereas our bus routes do. Therefore, we can usually align perfectly with some trains, but not others. So this is where that additional service frequency in our network can really help. And unfortunately, we're also often unable to make changes in time based on the GO train schedule adjustments, since our schedule periods aren't the same.
Right. Okay, we've got a few questions that have come in on Facebook. I'm going to be reading along as I ask it. In year 4, okay, you got Andrea is the one. She knows these routes in and out. It's fun to quiz her. So here you go. In year 4, Route 20 goes to 20-minute service, but the following year you split the route into 3 different routes and reduce the frequency to every 30 minutes all day. Are you following that?
Mm-hmm.
Is this due to the funding from federal government, or is there a way to skip the 20-minute service and go straight to the 3 new routes? Why are we doing a little temporary change in there?
It's a few little working pieces. So the year that the 3 routes are introduced is one of our more expensive years. And so when we're reallocating resources from the 20, by introducing the 20-minute service before, we have some initial resources that we can reallocate to that year, but we do have some flexibility in the order that things are introduced. So if it's something that makes sense, it's definitely something we can look into. Hopefully that covers everything.
And tell us, person from Facebook, go to haveyoursay.guelph.ca. Tell us if that works, if that's the right way to proceed. Okay, a couple more questions. They're rolling in now. I love it. Okay, this is about stop spacing. 250 meters is a little low for stop spacing, especially on core routes and major arterial roads. They would recommend 400 meters on these roads, and or prioritization to be located near safe pedestrian crossings. What was the thinking with that spacing? This is more of a comment than a question, that one.
Yeah, well, 250 meters is an average, so it wouldn't be every 250 meters. It could be less, it could be more. And that's pretty much a standard that like even the MTO uses, just as a way of achieving that like 400 meter or 5-minute walk to reach people by having stops spaced roughly 250 meters apart.
Right, because they could be off the road, off that main road further that way. So math, triangulation, we need them to be a little bit closer. Okay, I have a follow-up to the Route 19 question. This person says that although Route 19 was approved, the residents, and this person is speaking for a group of residents, I presume, feel that the 2019 communication was transparent. Can the city, yeah, I think wasn't is what they're getting at here. Can the city review the decision in greater detail? A few plans along Hanlon Creek were suggested and would accommodate the requests.
Yeah, so we are continuing to review in greater detail. When we did the initial engagement, a door hanger was placed on everybody's door. So we did try our best to reach out to anybody who would be affected by the route, but we're continuing to look at it in more detail.
And that's part of what we're doing through this engagement now, is we're hearing from people. Maybe we heard from them in 2019. Maybe their situation has changed since 2019 and we would hear a different response. That's why we're asking again. So there's a lot, nothing set in stone. I said it before, we're working on it. Okay, I think that's it right now. And we've got our elves in the background feverishly checking all of the platforms, the Facebook, the WebEx, trying to gather up all the comments for us as we go, but I will move back to my other questions. Okay, the Great North and South Divide in the city of Guelph. How are we connecting North and South using transit? Is there enough in this plan? Could we be doing more?
So right now we only have the 99 main line that runs north and south, but proposed throughout the plan are the Route 97 Edinburgh and Route 96 Victoria, which would add additional north-south connections using two major arterials in the city, and also increasing frequency. So hopefully it's a little bit better getting north and south.
Okay, that's the plan. All right, another question from Facebook. Has Guelph Transit reached out to the major employers regarding its proposal to have Industrial Express paid for by companies? What is the thinking behind this option, and is there examples from other cities who do an industrial or workplace express?
I can't think of examples offhand, but I know there are corporate initiatives that employers do take in where they they give some money and it helps their employees get less expensive bus pass or something along those lines. So this is taking that kind of a step further, that we're trying to get everybody to work as efficiently as possible, but there might be something that we can't quite accommodate, just the nature of the roads or just the timing, the cost. So this is just something we want to explore further. We haven't spoken with the employers exactly about industrial express routes, but we have spoken to a number of employers in the city, a lot of which have said that they want to support the community however they can, and they're really hoping that we can give them some really great options for their employees.
Great. You cut out a little bit for me at the end. I don't know if that was me or you, but I think we caught most of it for sure. Yeah, we reached out to the companies toward the end of last year, I think, wasn't it? It was like November or something like that. And we called a huge list of employers to find out what their needs were, timing and capacity wise for transit. We had quite a lot of conversations back then. Okay, nothing else has come in. So we'll go back to my list. These are great, by the way, and thank you everybody who's contributing questions and comments. All of this helps us think through if we've got it right, you know, if we're headed in the right direction. Are there little tweaks that we can do? So this conversation has been really helpful. Thank you. Reliability of Guelph Transit. This has been, all transit systems have some issues, but without a really strong, well-moving transit system, it's hard to attract new riders. Is there a plan to improve reliability along with the transit changes? Sometimes buses are delayed or canceled, and it just causes a whole mess of headaches for users. So what are we doing to fix that?
So yes, we've considered it. Moving forward, we're aiming to have more spare operators available and additional spare buses in the case that a driver calls in sick or a bus breaks down. And we've also identified what the actual to ensure that schedules are accurate to what the actual road conditions are. And transit priority measures are recommended through the In-Progress Transportation Master Plan, which will also help increase reliability for buses on the road.
Right, the Transportation Master Plan, that's been going on at the same time as the route review. How have you been working and coordinating with the Transportation Master Plan to make sure that it becomes a holistic plan to move people around?
Yes, our teams have been working closely together, back and forth, what each of us is kind of thinking. And the transportation master plan that was presented May 25th, I think, has a quality transit network that recommends protecting for different types of transit priority, or just noting that it's an arterial that is likely to continue to have transit. And so a lot of or all of those roads align with our routes, particularly with our core routes.
Excellent. I love it when people collaborate between departments and make one plan that works for everybody. Okay, this plan is set to roll out over 10 years. 10 years! I'm not even going to be here in 10, I'm not going to say I'm not going to be here in 10 years. I love it here. But a lot changes in 10 years. Why 10 years? Is it possible to make it happen sooner?
Yeah, so basically the 10 years was to have only a moderate increase to our tax impacts each year. This is especially relevant with COVID, kind of throwing a wrench in everything. But if public feedback indicates that a faster timeline is preferred, this is something we would definitely want to present to council for approval.
All right. So tell us, people, tell us. Maybe 10 years is good for people. Maybe saving a little bit of money and spreading it out is more comfortable than spending a lot of money and having it now. Are we being fiscal and frugal, or are we making the transit system we need as fast as possible? It's a balance, and we need to hear from the community about how to achieve the right balance. Okay. Okay, so some routes have 15-minute intervals, some routes have 30-minute intervals. Why is there such a broad range of times? And can they be all made a little bit easier to follow? Maybe peak hours, all routes have 15 minutes or something like that. I guess we used to have that. Where did it go? Can it come back?
So a lot of it is some of that scheduling magic, I guess you could call it, going on in the background. Maybe not magic because it's not that magical. But a lot of routes, just the nature of how long they are, how long it takes to drive them, the timing doesn't quite work out that we could run 15 minutes. So we can either have it run at a lower frequency, like 30 minutes, or we can offer that increased frequency at 20 minutes. And also some of it is just that budget constraint of trying to offer what we can without a price tag that is just going to make people cringe. So that's why we're trying overall in the network to increase frequency as we go, so that hopefully, even if things aren't an exact connection, the timing of them will allow for an efficient trip for our passengers.
Right. There's a lot to weigh. We do have another Facebook question. This person is wondering if there's an opportunity for an east-west cross-town route through downtown Guelph, maybe by combining routes. For example, routes 4 and 10, or route 10 and 14.
It's funny because actually when I originally was looking at these routes, the route 4 and the route 10 were joined together. We just wanted to give us that flexibility that, say we did want to join it with the route 14, we would be able to do that. So there is definitely a plan to have some sort of east-west connection through the downtown. But what that looks like, you like add in the survey what you think would be the most effective for you.
Perfect. That survey again is haveyoursay.guelph.ca/route review. If you just get to haveyoursay.guelph.ca, you can find it. There's, I think, 4 or 5 engagements open right now, and transit route review is right there. You click on that button, read the documents, read the background, ask your questions, answer the survey. It's all there for you. And I'm going to pop those links in the chat again so people can just click. You just click and then you go and you participate. It's that easy. Okay. Nothing else has come in that I can see. Let me see if I can get another question. Well, while I search for a question too, Andrea, you ride the transit yourself. You've been all over Guelph. What was that like, doing the research on the buses?
Yep. It was interesting to see every single route. Before the pandemic, I would use the Route 4 myself every day. But as one of our research initiatives, we were riding basically every route we could, surveying the riders, surveying the drivers, and just making observations on the road. So we were able to ride almost every route in the system. Our next on the list was the university routes, and then the pandemic happened. So we've been on a pause, but that is something that we would like to continue to do when we're able to.
That's great. Do you have a favorite route?
I think the Route 4, it gets me to work.
Some people would say the one that gets them to work is their least favorite.
I like that it takes me basically right there. I really like to situate myself near transit.
And that's smart. That's great. A good transit system can build intensity in a community, right? You intensify along the transit routes and make it convenient for everybody to get around town. It's part of a plan. Who knew? Who knew? Okay, another question from Facebook. Will there be ways to transfer mid-route, avoiding the major hubs?
Yes, there are much more intersections where two routes will meet, and many of them are more higher frequency. We haven't actually scheduled the routes yet, but that is something that in our scheduling we would want to consider to make sure that any on-road transfers are as convenient as possible.
Awesome. Okay. What about linking to other transit systems? Guelph has a lot of commuters from the KW area. Can we look at linking Guelph Transit with Grand River Transit at all?
We have had some considerations that are outside the scope of this plan to connect with GRT, but that's all subject to budget approval and the outcomes of COVID-19. So it's something that is on our radar.
Do you talk with the other transit teams from other cities? You know, hey, what are you guys doing? You must collaborate a lot.
This is my third transit agency, actually, so I have a lot of friends throughout Southern Ontario. I hope they're my friends. Yeah, so we're always talking, trying to bounce ideas off each other.
That's great. Why reinvent the wheel if one community finds a great way to solve a transit problem? Just share it around. It's not like we're competing. All right, there's no questions coming in right now. What else can we talk about? I'm sure people are just letting it all sink in. So on haveyoursay.guelph.ca, there's a large document, the full-on transit route review, explained turn by turn, route by route, year by year, exactly what the current plan is that we're trying to share with the community. We want to refine it. We want to improve it. We know we're not perfect. Andrea, you're pretty perfect, but you know, there could be a little room in there. People have ideas. The people who are out there in the community, on the streets, taking transit, driving around, they see what's happening every day. And the community's feedback can help us improve this plan that you've been putting together for years. So that's up there. There's a summary document because frankly, okay, the big document is like 300 pages. It's huge, but it's made for, oh, I like to take Route 4, and you go Route 4 every year and you find out what happens to that. But there's also a summary document that's only like 10 pages long, and you can really kind of see, okay, these routes changed this year. That's what I need to pay attention to. And then you can go over to the big document and find out the schedule and all those things. What else do we have? There's images of the year 10 plan. If you just want to see, okay, at the end of the year, at the end of the plan, year 10, what does the map look like? The map's right there for you. You can just kind of look and get your head around it. Figure out the transition years by yourself. That's fine. And we also have a mesh map for you. If you don't care about the route numbers, you just want to kind of look at a black and white map and see, okay, what parts of the city are being serviced. We don't care about direction. We don't care about the route numbers, the color lines. Just show me what's being serviced. That's there for you too. So we've got a lot of that. We've got an interactive Google Maps. One of our elves behind the scenes developed a Google map for us where you can click on layers. You can compare year 1 to year 8. And you just remember to click off year 1, otherwise you're seeing both underneath. But if you click that off, and then year 8 over here, you can see right away what those changes are. It's pretty cool. And it'll even highlight, if you click on a route, it'll highlight exactly where that route is and what it's doing. So it's some pretty cool stuff. Go over to haveyoursay.guelph.ca and play around and noodle over it and think about how we can improve this thing, because we want to hear from you, and then take the survey. Or just pop your comments into the Q&A area. We're listening there too. I think nothing's coming in. So it's been a while since the presentation ended. You want to walk us through next steps again? What does that look like from here out?
Yeah, so the survey closes on June 20th. And from there, we're going to be looking at all of the feedback. We've been reading it as it comes in as well, just to refine the concept, anything that we've missed, anything that is a really good idea that would be just very beneficial. And then that refined concept would be presented to council in November for their consideration and approval.
Okay, we do have another question. I knew if we talked long enough, we'd get another question popping in, because it takes time to think through these things. All right, in year 8, Route 7 will add Courtright East from Gordon to Victoria. You following me? Okay, you just know these things inside and out. This stretch has speed bumps, and there's a 30-kilometer zone, presumably 30-kilometer-per-hour speed limit zone, with cement medians installed for traffic calming. Will these measures be removed to accommodate the bus route, or will the bus route accommodate the safety measures?
Yeah, we wouldn't be removing those. I believe a lot of them are actually speed cushions, which are narrow enough that larger vehicles are able to basically straddle them, and they don't have to actually go over the bump. And we do have our driver trainer has kind of verified that the bus is able to navigate through there without actually any real impedance to its movement. But yeah, we're still looking at all of the feedback, and if it's something the neighborhood is concerned about, we can keep looking.
And the buses would still have to adhere to the 30-kilometer speed limit,
yes.
right?
Yes.
They don't get to override that. Okay, another question from Facebook. Okay, this touches on something that we already talked about. Can you explain how the route review will connect with the transportation master plan and the upcoming transit master plan? This will be important for council to see the forest for the trees. I like that quote, forest for the trees. Or in other words, the whole concept together, how people move around.
Yeah, so every plan that the city is undertaking has to adhere to our strategic plan pillars, and the transportation master plan and this route review. Um, they're primarily falling under the navigating our future pillar, which looks at improving connections, making sure that there's options for people to travel where they want to go, when they want to go. And so the transportation master plan is that larger, higher level document that kind of provides that support that the route review makes sense to do, because we're trying to give people more options, make alternative methods of getting around more accessible to everybody. And then the transit master plan is going to be basically a gathering of many different parts of transit. So this route review would be part of that transit master plan. The transit master plan, I believe, would also include like a fare strategy, just any of our business plans moving forward that are outside of route operations. So it's just, we steadily get into a more focused topic with each plan.
Right. There's just in the background, there's so many master plans going on at the same time right now at the city. And in some ways it's I hope brilliant is you, there's an opportunity to have those cross-sharing of information and making sure this plan takes into account that plan as they're being developed at the same time. But I bet it's also a little confusing from the community that there's all these plans being done at the same time, and which one am I paying attention to? Is it the transit? Is it the transportation? Trails master plan. We're talking about how people get around the city using cycle, transit, car, intercity travel, and pedestrianism all at the same time, because we want people to be able to move around how they want to move around. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And all of these plans, we have this monthly meeting where all of the master plan people sit on COVID, so we sit on one screen together and just talk about, okay, where are we going? What's your timing on this? When's that going to council? And then daily, all of the plan leads are talking to each other to make sure that the plans are aligning and nothing is working out of sync with you. Hopefully, I don't have any real wood to knock on wood, but hopefully not out of sync. So there's just a lot going on. And I don't know how much of it is so visible from the community level.
And yeah, I'd say like they're all very interconnected. Like every transit passenger at some point in their trip is a pedestrian. So being able to get to their bus stop is really important. And cycling infrastructure is really beneficial. It's a nice green way of getting around. It's a nice, especially with COVID, it's a great way of getting around. But there's not a lot of cycling infrastructure, and there's considerations of how much road space we're able to give and take here and there. We have bike racks on our buses, so we encourage people, if they ride their bike to their bus stop, they can keep going with their bike. It's just there's a lot of, they're all working together, so it's good that they're kind of all at the same time so that we're all kind of on the same page.
But it's a lot.
Yes, yes.
Okay, another Facebook question. And this is on everybody's mind, I think. Is there a way to better understand the financial implications of shortening the plan from 10 years to, this person says, say 6, 7, 8, 9 years? Like, have you run the analysis to break it out year by year and what that would do if we quicken the rollout?
Yeah, so basically the cost would be the same no matter what the length of the plan is. It's just when we would want that to be a tax impact. So there could, if we shortened it, it would just be that there would be a larger increase in taxes, or the tax for transit in that year. So it's just really about how much we want to affect the tax levy.
Right, because some of this is capital costs, which is
Mhm.
buying the buses, right? Basically, buying the buses, making the stops, but a lot of it is ongoing costs that changes
Yeah,
the expenses in perpetuity, and that's where that taxes piece kind of comes in, right?
yeah.
I hope that answered your question. I think I've caught up. Helper behind the scenes, if I've missed anything, let me know. Give me a little ding in our chat, but I think I'm caught up here. And I've run out of my pre-planned questions. We can banter for a little while longer. The questions have been rolling in slowly. I don't want to call it a day quite yet if people are interested. We're electrifying the route. I don't think we've talked about that much today.
Yes.
Tell us how this plan incorporates the route electrification.
So technically the electrification is outside of the scope of this plan, but it is something that we're very conscious of in the back of our minds. Basically, we're moving forward with electrifying the fleet, and we're going to have to see how that affects our operations day to day. But it's technically outside of this plan, but I guess could be part of the transit master plan as well.
Right. And again, with how everything's interconnected, we're building a new operations campus that will help us electrify the fleet because we'll be able to have the electricity infrastructure in a couple of years there. It's all interconnected at the city. We have to work together, otherwise we're working against ourselves. Okay. I don't see anything else. Our helper has not messaged me, so I think I'm caught up.
I think last time we gave them a few minutes and they there were a few last minutes.
I just got a message. Wait. I imagine that's their face. Wait. Somebody's typing. This has been a great conversation. I'm enjoying this. Oh, okay. It was just a thank you. It was just somebody being polite and friendly and thanking us for the session today. No, nothing.
We always like happy thanks.
You know, we're here if people are grumpy about what we're doing, because I mean, this does affect your lives, but we're also human. It's nice to hear the good feedback too. There's an old saying, right? That the squeaky wheel gets the oil. We hear a lot of complaints because that's the stuff that needs changing, and we don't often hear, you did something good, you got it right. So it's nice to hear that sometimes, as long as it's earnest. You know, we want to know if we're on the right track. Well, oh, okay, we got another one. Oh, another route combination. Has any thought been given to combining Route 20 and Route 22 to create more industrial connections at the Woodlawn Smart Center routes?
So that has been looked into. It's a bit difficult to connect them. We can't just take parts of the route without like throwing off the schedules completely. But the intention is that there would be some connectivity between the Woodlawn Smart Centers and the industrial area. But if there's something that would be a good idea, we're happy to hear them.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you're a transit taker, we want to hear from you. If you're a transit, I'll never take transit. We want to hear from you too. If you're a driver and you notice something that we could be doing better, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from everybody and their children. You know, the more voices we hear in this transit route review, the better we can make transit for everybody. We need to hear all the voices. Okay. Well, even if we're wrapping up, if another question comes in, we'll get to the question. I'm just looking at everything. But even if you don't get your question in tonight, we're still listening. The engagement on haveyoursay.guelph.ca is still running through the weekend. We close it on Monday. And I mean, frankly, we're city staff. You can find us. We love to hear comments all year long. It's just right now is when we can make the most effective change, where we can really noodle over what you're saying and say, yeah, we can work that in. Or, maybe there's something that we could change, maybe not exactly what you're suggesting, but something that we can do to serve your need. Just knowing the interconnection of all the routes and the timing and the trickle down effect of what would need to be changed. But we need to hear from you to know what those changes need to be. So it really helps us when you tell us stuff like, there's still a challenge to get from point A to point B. It's great when you recommend route changes and combinations and stuff like that. But if there's a challenge getting from point A to point B, that's the stuff we need to solve. So let us know if there's a gap in timing as the year rollout happens. Maybe you like the way it looks in year 7, but there's a real challenge for you in years 4 and 5 because of the way the changes happen. We want to know that stuff, because it's hard. And if you're not connected to the exact streets, the exact routes, might not be easy to notice every little challenge along the way. So that's why we're bringing it to the public. That's what we want to know. All right. There's still nothing coming. So I think we're there. This has been a great conversation, and thank you so much, Andrea, for the presentation, for going through route by route, and thank you for all the work getting us to this point. Even though, we've had this conversation, it's not perfect. It's try. It's pretty darn good for what Guelph's capacity can be, where we need to be to serve the growth that we're expecting over the next number of years. You've thought of a lot of factors, and you've done a lot of work to get us here. And we're just in that little home stretch where the community can help us get over that finish line. So it's an exciting place to be. I hope you're excited about all the work you've done and where we're headed. So everybody, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the person in the car down the street, go to haveyoursay.guelph.ca/route review, fill out a survey, read the material, let us know where you need to go and how we can improve these routes as we fine-tune things. And soon we get to present it to council, and soon we get to really make a difference on the way people move around Guelph. It's very exciting. Any final words, Andrea, from you?
I don't think so.
You've spoken a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go rest that voice. Have a drink of water. You've earned it. And thank you, everybody, for attending. It's been a blast, and we hope to see your responses on the survey soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.